sign my papers and, just get the hours. Even though that anxiety, that definitely, that feeling can come up. I know at the end of my studies when I graduated, I kind of had this like anxiety about, I need to hurry up and get my hours. And, but what I learned along that process is it wasn't really about getting to that, destination the fastest. It was about getting the quality, experience. Like that's what I really had craved. And, so through the podcast, I guess that would be one way that, I'm kind of getting that. I'm kind of surrounding myself with mentors and kind of leaning in on, their expertise, because I'm not I'm the expert. I know you said that. The expert, but not the expert, right? So, yeah, and I've had to really have honest conversations with myself too of, okay, where can I kind of lean in more? Where can I, be better? And I think it's really important to have a supervisor who, again, kind of creates that safe space for you to be able to have that conversation. And I've been really fortunate to have that. And I have had other professionals who are, or instructors who I got mixed messages in graduate school of, even as far as the podcast, hey, maybe pump your brakes. You need to do A, B, and C before you even, put yourself out there. I got feedback that you shouldn't put yourself out there, that as a therapist, you need to be kind of like this invisible person.
Yeah. Go ahead and perpetuate the stigma. Thanks for that.
Yeah. And so there was a lot of mixed messages, and I could definitely understand that, that I have a lot to learn, and it's kind of balancing that, be quiet and listen.
Right.
With share this, if you know something, sharing it. So I thought that, the podcast would be great because I'm not sharing my, my expertise. I'm sharing other people's expertise. So I got to do a little bit of both.
Yeah, the interesting implied statement there is that we would somehow know when we are good enough to share. Right? Like there's some checkpoint that you're going to hit where you go, now I've arrived and I can turn around and start sharing. It's like, well, no, because as soon as you're out of school and licensed, that is the point. Like people are literally hiring you with their hard-earned money to give them feedback. So if you're not confident, then I don't know when you'll be. Why not have a podcast? Why not share that stuff? I say repeatedly, it doesn't do any good locked up in my head. I mean, I'm going to spit that out into the world. So I'm not going to wait for some arbitrary time designation to, then assert myself into life. So I just grabbed it and ran, much to the chagrin of some of the same types of people you mentioned, where like, well, you shouldn't be doing that yet. I'm like, well, says you, I guess, because your own insecurities say that, which is interesting. But I think if you're listening to this and you're seeking some inspiration, and you're held back by self-doubt because you got some voices in your head from some people who are maybe in positions of authority throughout your life who said you're not good enough, I would say that you have plenty to offer the world, and the evidence for that is anytime you have a conversation, if you're offering an opinion on something, that's all a podcast is. It's just some person sitting behind a microphone offering opinions on things. And you don't need any sort of specialty training for that. It just so happens that we do happen to have specialty training in what we're discussing. And then it's an ongoing growth procession, right? So all the way through the rest of our lives, we should be continuing to grow and develop. And yeah, there's going to be points in time where you turn around and go, oh man, I wish I hadn't made the mistake I did 6 years ago because, I know better now. Well, you didn't know then. So be easy on yourself. And if it's 6 years later, offer something else. So if you're listening and you want to strike out and try something new, do something scary, do it. At bare minimum, you're going to grow, and who cares what other people think? If they're not growing and they're just throwing rocks at you, saying "Stop it," that's a them issue, not a you issue. Talk to me about where people can find you, because you have a practice, and I want to give shouts to, if people are listening in the greater Stockton area. I want to give you a pop.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, I'm practicing at Life Practice Counseling in Stockton. So there's 3 locations. This is a nonprofit agency, but it's private practice model. So there's 2 in Sacramento, 1 in Stockton, and I of course make the big commute to Stockton. Just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
No more commuting. And also on social media, so Instagram, you can just look up Christina DeLosAngeles or Christina_DLA. I also have the podcast that's on SoundCloud and iTunes, and that's Therapy Things Radio. And also a blog on also called Therapy Things. Mm-hmm.
And it's therapythings.wordpress.com.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So if you just Google Therapy Things and Christina DeLosAngeles, you will find everything you need to know about her. And and the blog is very good. Actually, I was just scrolling through this. I looked at it probably a few weeks ago whenever we first started talking, and this is the first time I've seen it since then. And you got some good content, kid. Like, this is really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. I said this on your podcast. I'm proud of you for doing this stuff because I think it takes a lot of courage. And courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is like acknowledging the fear and then choosing to do something anyway. And we've already talked enough about the fear, but about the courage, I think if you're listening and you're like, man, I could never do that, I'd say, no, actually you can. And I invite you to do it, whatever it may be, whether it's promoting or training or going and doing a blog or opening your own business or whatever it is. Do it. Like, do it. Like, put yourself out there and know that, if you put yourself out there enough repeatedly and you rise to some level of fame and popularity, people are going to throw rocks, and it's not about you. It's about them seeing the thing in you that they don't want to see in themselves, and instead of elevating themselves, they're trying to tear you down. I mean, that's bullying 101. So don't worry too much about that. You're like, oh, what are people going to say if I screw it up? Well, that's not about you. It's about them. So just keep doing whatever you're doing.
Yeah, and actually, to piggyback off of what you just said, that it's not about you, and I think if you have something that you really want to do, and it's a kind of this burning passion, it's not about you. And yeah, it's something that you want to do, but this is something that I'm discovering myself, and something that helps me kind of push forward is it's not just about me, it's about who's getting this message.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful that people like you share and, push past any type of fear that you might have, because you're serving and you're inspiring a lot of people. So, yeah.
I hope so. At the end of my life or whatever, I mean, I hope to accomplish a couple of things. One is that we talk about mental health the same way we talk about physical health, with the same ease and the same comfort level. And the other thing is that we therapize ourselves out of jobs. Like if everybody's happy and healthy and I have to go swing a hammer for a living to install drywall to make my mortgage, then I'm going to be thrilled to do it because everybody around me is going to be healthy. And I think that's blissful. If we could ever get to that point, then I don't care about whether or not I get credit or I get paid or, whatever. None of this stuff's proprietary. And that's why I think it's so cool that we as, podcast people can have each other on. And I would do that in my own community too. It's just that we're all super busy and it's hard to pin people down here because we're all working. And I appreciate you taking the time, but there's enough hurt to go around, and so the more we can spread this message by inviting each other in, the better off we are. We don't need to be like peeing in each other's corners of the sandbox to mark our territory. It just doesn't make any sense. People are literally dying, and we can't be selfish about what we provide to the world. So thank you for joining me on this Friday morning, and I appreciate your time. It means a lot. One more time. Christina, it's at DeLosAngeles Therapy what is it on Instagram? I thought you were. Oh,
Chris, I'm sorry. I was like, huh?
Sorry, I'm just making stuff up. Listening audience, ignore. I
need to get a better, I don't know, whatever you would call it for the Instagram, but it's at Christina_DLA because my last name is just too long.
Yeah, it's like Wiskerson. Like, who does that? Mine's, at least yours is pronounceable. Mine's not even pronounceable. By the way, listening audience, if you're talking about courage and doing strange things that people might mock you for, we just experienced that with that little fumble of the, what her Instagram handle is, and we just laughed it off, right? Because like, who cares? And in doing so, and it's not, we're not being glib about this, but in so doing, hopefully the invitation is, as you, the listener, will go, oh, maybe I can do that somewhere else in my life where it's just not a big deal that I kind of just tripped over something. You make fun of yourself and move on. And then it's not a big deal, and you don't have to walk around in shame and guilt going, I screwed up the podcast.
Yeah. And I think with that, too, is as we're talking about, and I know we're wrapping up and talking about courage, though, is to definitely point out that, how important it is to be supportive of other people, too, and allow them to make mistakes. One of the reasons why I say that is because you, as, someone who's been doing this, you really made it easier for me to come to you too and hold that as like a really safe space. You were someone who is open, and like I wasn't sure, how approachable you would be, and you were very approachable, open, genuine, and just very transparent, and that's something we need too. So, create and give what you need. So if you're someone who is feeling like, oh, I could use some more courage, support someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you become what you practice. So if you're practicing supporting other people, you'll end up supporting yourself. I think that's great. Thank you again for the compliment. It's hard to big league somebody when you're giving away your stuff for free. I've been giving away my stuff for free longer. I'm not going to talk to that girl. This lady in Stockton wants to talk to me. No, she's beneath me. Like what? Who thinks like that? That's hilarious. Well, I appreciate everybody listening along. Thanks, Christina, for joining. Thanks for all the big compliments. It's always awkward to hear that level of compliment from somebody you've never met, but I accept it. I receive it. Thank you. It's something I worked on personally. There's a little peek into my life. I didn't always accept compliments very well because I was super insecure, but I'm learning, and all you got to do is say thank you. So thank you. Well, for all of us at the Noggin Notes team and within the Zephyr Wellness family, we thank you for listening, and we wish you great mental wellness. Christina, have a great weekend.
Thank you.